Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the penultimate episode of Dexter New Blood, to the season or series finale. I don't know. We're going to talk about it, but I am. Did you hear about the Morgans? Tress changed up a little bit with the classic, and I'm joined by.
Not actually the finale, Kirklin.
Finally.
This episode was fire, Taylor Field.
There you go. So, this is going to be a good one. We have one episode left of Dexter after this. So, for programming note, that one, because it's the finale, will be live immediately after. So, if you watch live, Eastern people probably aren't. But for the Pacific people, you can either watch live or it's going to be in your feed right thing in the morning. So, yeah, Saturday night will be there because for us, it's 9 to 10. So, we'll be covering it right away. So, it's going to be lots of fun. Taylor Field, when we promote that episode or when we tell other people what we're doing, because we actually have some really fun lineups of stuff that's coming out this week, where can they find it all?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse our Twitter. GeekVerse on our Facebook.
This man has somewhere to be, apparently. He's fucking bearing
No, I
down
just,
over here.
ever since, I can't remember which cast it was. Either we were guesting on it or we had someone on the show. It might be a crossover, but someone, maybe it was Scott. He read off his lines clean, one breath, and not even an inhale. I'm like, you know what? That's what I want to aspire to be. I want to get those plugs out right away with just one clean stated line.
Like, Scott's a bastard that can't be trusted because hashtag Scott fears Travis. But no, he is very good at the plugs and whatnot. He's a machine. He's a teacher. That's why. He's a teacher. You're just a sign spinner. That's what Taylor does in the day.
A sign spinner.
A sign spinner.
Nothing wrong with that job. In the
He
winter
talks
here,
slowly in that job.
Yeah. But, excuse me. We got lots of fun stuff. Finally, we're kind of back now. We've had some casts, but so this week alone, you're going to have the very anticipated, because we didn't get to do a movie preview last year because we did a movie preview in 2020, but when we were going to do one in 2021, they're all the same movies because everything got delayed, so we didn't do it. So this year we actually have a fresh movie preview, so that's going to be recorded. We're also going to talk about some DC reboot, crybabies going on right now because people are just freaking the fuck out, but that's what happened. So the Monday cast, which will drop on Tuesday, is going to be good. Then after that, we're going to have Boba Fett, which Kirkman Pastor, you're going to have to stay awake for because there's a chance I might be working very, very early on the Wednesday. So I don't know if I'll make it. So Kirkland has to break his 3 weeks.
I can bounce out, so Kirkland has to be on it.
So we're going to have Boba Fett, and then later on this week as well, we're going to have the same thing, the video game preview, but a first that we've ever done. We got a lot more coming this year because you fans in the survey said you really like the drafts. We're going to have the video game draft. Now, I don't think I've told these guys how it works. What's going to happen is, Dylan Muss is joining us. It's like the draft system. We all pick 5, but you're picking 5 based on what you think could have the best reviews for the whole year on Metacritic. So at the end of the year, we'll put all the tallies and scores together, and whoever has the highest points will win the draft, because it's not like the superhero draft where we can all tie. It'll be like, okay, Taylor picks Call of Duty, and that gets an 80 on Metacritic, so he has 80 points. So at the end of the year, we put all those together. Hopefully we don't have a game that gets like a 2 or a 3 or something like that, and whoever has the most points will win. So that's going to be lots of fun. So, and we got a movie draft coming up next week. We got lots of good stuff popping off. Best way to listen is on Patreon over there. Ad-free, exclusive, and early episodes. Right now, there's the Potter reunion. You might be in the Potter mood. These gentlemen, along with Jessica and Dylan, reviewed every single Potter movie for the retrospective. That'll be coming out later this year, I think like 6 months from now. But if you want to get it right now, want to get your juicy Hobbit fingers on it, do that right now. Let's see. And yeah, more you support us there. More content you can write. That's what you'll see a lot this month. A lot of things. We'll be doing comic book versions. We're excited to talk about some other fun spin-offs. Golden Geeks is like a month away, so everyone's watching movies. So lots of good times. And as last year, Golden Geeks, you'll be able to vote and help us with the nominations if you're a patron. So lots of stuff. Head down the links below. That's where the audio and video and everywhere you can subscribe, like, rate, review is there. Our Discord, our podcast network, all our 4 feeds. Just a plethora of great content. And yes, so Kirkland Pastor, I want to hear from you first because I want you to explain to the fans what happened to you last night while you were watching this episode.
I was going through a bit of a roller coaster with this episode. I was going through stages of thinking that, okay, this is a really good way to end the show, because if you didn't know by my nickname, I completely thought this was the finale. And I'm very happy it wasn't, because there was just so many things that just is left open, and I left that episode thinking, okay, this is how we're going into season 2. At least I know that we're getting more of the show, how it left off. So that was kind of a funny realization when Travis told me afterwards. But I'm glad we have one more because there's still a bunch of stuff to tackle. I don't want to get too deep into spoilers, but I think I can say spoiler free that there was a few things in this episode that made me think, oh man, they should have spent more time throughout the season with moments that happened in this episode. And then it also made me realize that maybe they tried to tackle a little bit too much in the series, or the mini series, whatever the season is. Just because I thought there was a lot of good stuff that was introduced in this episode, and now there's only this one and next week's episode left. There's not too much time to dive into specifics of yeah, no, I'm just gonna say that for spoiler-free section. So I don't want to run the risk of spoiling anything. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty good episode. There was some moments. It made me think. Honestly, I was watching *Malignant* with just what the shift was that happened. I'm excited to tell you what that is because it just
Malignant,
wow.
that's a
oh yeah,
wild comparison.
I'm pulling the deep cut *Malignant* reference here, but yeah, I'll say what that is in the spoiler free section. But all in all, I thought this was a pretty good episode. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. So I'll leave it there.
I have no problem spoiling if anyone thinks they do not reveal that Kurt, Dexter, or Harrison has anything on the back of their head and is doing something. Go watch *Malignant*. Great movie. Fantastic movie. Taylor, did this give you some *Malignant* vibes?
I did not get any *Malignant* vibes, but I definitely was happy with this episode. It gave me a lot of stuff that I was just thirsting for, and it I'm not gonna say it peaked, but it definitely got super high. Like I'm loving all of this, the dialogue, the context, the development, the progression, a lot of stuff that was happening, and there were lots of moments where. Madison would look over to me, and I was telling you this last night. She looked over and she's like, "Taylor, why are you laughing?" I'm like, "This is funny. I'm sorry. I'm not sick-headed. It's just great." And there was a couple significant scenes like that actually, but I don't know where like the thought came to my head, but my mind like remembers like something different happening with the episode where I thought. I don't know. I think maybe when I went to bed, I had Dexter dreams, and I dreamed like that this was actually what happened alternatively in the episode, which I won't say. It's just really weird. So,
Madison has announced she's divorcing him. I just looked at Facebook now.
On Facebook.
Yeah. Before in the next room. Yeah. So I'm of two minds of this, where I think the episode, if you bottle up and you just look at everything we got, fantastic episode. I could make an argument for it being the best episode of the season. And then if you kind of look at the other route where I am, like Kirklin, where I just feel, again, we maybe wasted some time. Like, I have no problem saying this. We should never spend any single scene on that billionaire, because that billionaire is clearly never coming back. And it's just stuff where, again, it's my feelings on the last now 3 episodes of the show are really going to be decided on. Yeah, of course next week. Of course last week. Next week's the finale, so that's going to be obviously a big step. But for me, it's all about how does that finale end, and if it leaves us in a certain place, do we immediately get like a Loki, New Blood season 2 coming, or a Monday morning announcement? Because I think if I were to know right now we were getting another season, all my issues would be gone. I'd be like, okay, that's fine, because we have tons. We'll have another 8 episodes to wrap this up or whatnot. No pun intended. But I think that they, as I talked about last few weeks, that I was like, I'm worried. They definitely wrap some stuff up in this episode, and it's all done well for the most part. There's a few, maybe leaves in logic they've done a couple times, but still, for the most part, it's written well. It's acted great. Michael C. Hall was fantastic in this episode. This was maybe his best episode, like the emotion he had to show, which is great because Dexter usually doesn't get to do that, right? So I think you can make a case this is his best episode. Again, all these episodes I would always pass and say they're good to great, stuff like that, well done. But it's just, we did close off some things, but especially how like the immediate of this episode ends, I just go like, how are we going to deal with this in one episode if this is the end? And as I've said before, I've said for weeks in broken record, I am taking them at their word that they said this was a mini series to give Dexter a new ending, right? So if I'm to believe them, next week will be the last again for the second time in my life, I'm saying next week will be the last episode of Dexter ever. It should wrap everything up. I just feel like either they are setting up for more, or it is like I've said, like Kirklin was saying, it's just maybe we spent too much time on things. Even this episode, there's something that as it was happening, it got better at the result. But when they pitched, it was like, oh my fucking god, we got 2 episodes left, and this is what we're doing here, you know. But so it's a great episode. I'm excited. Like, I won't say I am excited for next week, but I'm almost just more nervous because obviously I've been through a Dexter finale in my life that was not too kind to me. But
You feel like this could be worse than that finale, or no
No,
matter
I
what, it'll be
don't.
better.
No matter what, it'll be better because I just think that that season was just like all in all. Like I always said, like I don't think I've ranked them yet. I know I'm doing a ranking episode after this, but for a minor spoiler, I think that's like the second worst season. So this already to me, this is up quality wise with the other shows, and I think like him going away and becoming a lumberjack is not going to happen again and stuff like that. So I think no matter what, it'll be a better end. I just want it to be still a great ending, you know, because I think that show deserves it. So
Yeah.
anything non-spoilers to say before we get in this? Going once, going twice, sold. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our first ad break, and then we'll be back. And, man, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, so we will be right back. And we're back. So you know what? I want to start with the man, the myth, the legend. I want to start with our favorite gunslinger, Kurt Caldwell, because you know what? Just a golf clap. Bravo to Clancy Brown, who obviously now, we're in spoilers, he is gone for the rest of the show. They took him out. But man, he was a great villain. He was a great antagonist for 2 things. 1, just for the show overall, I really liked him. And 2, man, did he give us some entertainment and some memes now. Like, now when we drop for Call of Duty, I use him and the picture of the sniper. Like, he's going to live on in GeekVerse. And I love... a good run with a show that's had a lot of good villains. Clancy Brown really stood out and did a good job. So big shout out Clancy Brown.
Absolutely, yeah. As this episode was going on, I figured he was gonna meet some sort of end, but I just kept telling myself, I'm like, man, I hope he lives. I want any excuse to just have him around in the universe, just doing something. Because, yeah, as Travis said, he just brought so much entertainment, directly or indirectly, whatever it might be just because our ridiculous humor. But yeah, as you mentioned, this is like my malignant moment that I was talking about. How the episode was going, you know, like a certain tempo when we had Dexter and Harrison kind of off doing their thing. And then the reason why I mentioned it's like Malignant is because, minor Malignant spoilers, but there's a moment in that movie when it just totally shifts. It becomes like an action movie. It becomes like The Matrix, especially like at the police station, I think
Yes.
is, you know, yeah.
100%.
So as soon as it cut to Clancy Brown, just like going insane and like basically becoming a Home Alone
Yes.
you know, villain. I just laughed out loud. I thought, I'm like, holy shit, this is not what I was expecting. And of course, I got to preface because all my immediate thoughts on the episode was thinking that this is the finale. And I'm like, holy shit, this is literally the finale. We're getting like a Home Alone scene where he's setting up traps or something. I didn't realize it was Dexter's cabin at first.
Me either. I thought he was just icing down his cabin, and I said to Emily, like, what is this fucker, Kevin McAllister? Like, he's gonna beat Dexter and his son by them slipping in? Like, what is the plan?
So I had no idea what was going on, but I was in for it because I don't know why, I was just so down to see Kurt just set up all these traps and just the music too. Like, what a music choice. It's like heavy rock or something that's just like such high tempo. But yeah, that scene, I don't even know if I like it or I don't like it because it was just so ridiculous. I mean, I definitely liked it because it was just so bonkers. I don't know what you guys thought.
It makes sense. Like, I liked it 2 ways. One, I liked it because for us as a group, I was like, fuck, this is just like, whoever wrote this episode wrote it for us because Kurt became a legend. I texted, because I wasn't sure if you were seeing it, Kirklin. I texted Taylor, so I'm like, this man's an MCU villain. He's lighting his cabin on fire to get his son and this guy and his son to run out and shoot them in mid sprint. Like, but so that's where it's like, I do like it from the show standpoint of, even though last week he ran like a motherfucker and escaped. Even though, I guess, are we kind of insinuating that he got down to where the girls were?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I don't know
right?
how he unlocked that fucking padlock and crawled down there within, what, 3 seconds Dexter took to turn over?
Yeah, Kurt's really fast. So he definitely could have just, like, rushed into the house and took him out. But Kurt, you know, he wanted to play it safe. But realistically, it makes sense. He is an older gentleman. And, okay, there's only 2 entrances out of his cabin. There's the front door and the side door. So to me, like for meme wise, it was great. The fact that like just slowly I'm the same as Kirkland. Why is he icing his house? Oh no, it's Dexter's house. Oh, that's a flammable truck. He's gonna light this shit on fire. And my whole thing was I just thought he was gonna light on fire as like a message of just like, okay, and then he's gonna leave. But then the fact that he climbed his truck is like, and I'm gonna fucking shoot these guys too. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, like I'm losing it. But for the show it makes sense because yeah, I don't think he is an older guy, but also it's a 2 versus 1. He's not gonna rush in the house, take him out. So
Yeah.
this would make sense. Set it on fire. They're going to run out, shoot him. He gets his little ritual. At this point, I had forgotten what our fans, shout out to our fan, I'll have to find their name, that point us to that. We'll talk about that Kurt had taken out Molly. But at this point, I thought that Kurt had still not killed anybody. So I just thought this running joke of, he's just edging. He's like, oh, I'm finally going to kill somebody. Here comes Dexter and Harrison. And no one comes out of the house. And even he's like, fuck. Like, I love when Kurt gets up mad and just upset and everything like that. And so I really enjoyed the scene.
That's why I'm sad he's gone. You know,
Yes.
we're not gonna have any other. I don't know, kind of like how we have Angel Batista come back in a later, much later season. I don't know. I want Kurt to just be out there doing something. Just be getting pissed off. Hunting people down. I don't know.
Icing houses.
Ice and houses.
Next week's the last episode ever, Kirkland. So you would never see him again.
Supposedly, we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. Do you guys have anything else to say on Kurt? I guess. Oh, Taylor. Yeah.
Taylor hasn't even gone yet. Yeah,
That's
He's
right.
been-
I was gonna shift
juicing.
again.
Kurt was just absolutely hilarious. Yeah, so at that point where he started burning the house down, I thought the same thing. I thought he was icing it, weird tactic, but yeah, he's just gassing it. I don't know where he found a fucking huge oil gas truck that he could just drive off in Iron Lake, but
Well,
he
he's a
pulled it
trucker,
off.
right? So you guarantee he has trucks for everything. He's
All
like
sorts of
Batman.
trucks.
There you go. Yeah, fair enough.
He has a truck for every duty.
I thought it was super bold. Like, is this what you get when you get 2 serial killers just going full out war against each other? Just the escalation of it. Because yeah, he's just standing on top. I'm like, all I'm thinking of is like, wow, we're playing Warzone tonight, and he's just on top of the truck, and he's just ready to shoot them, and he's just getting caught up in his ritual, which I really liked. He was getting aggravated and frustrated and everything, and
Again,
love-
he does not need the ski mask for this. Kurt. Like you don't need to be in
No,
your
he
gear to
really
take out
doesn't.
Dexter
Fully
and
geared
Harrison.
up.
But Kurt
Yeah.
needed to be in his gear, but no one else needs to be. But I like how I forgot about the cabin burning down because I got so wrapped up in this episode. And at the end, when they were driving back home, like, oh right, the cabin's burned down. Shit, this is gonna have more escalation to it. And when they finally got Kurt, like even with the whole camera trick on Kurt, and Kurt's freaking out, I thought that was funny. But when they got him on the table after he was clearing the house, I really liked because I thought he was actually gonna like break out of the wrapping paper just because he's
Okay,
so strong.
what you think he's the fucking?
He
he's
was
so strong.
He was, yeah. They gave him a second there where Harrison's like freaking out and he's like shaking. I'm like, oh, he's gonna rip out and he's gonna come back next episode.
And Dexter's just gonna let him rip out and run out. Like,
Yeah.
He's so fast, he breaks out of the plastic and just like zips away. Like, man, Kurt Caldwell, fastest legs in the West, fastest legs in Iron Lake.
It's all that venison.
Yeah,
Yeah, keeps his ass strong.
but
It
I
was
do.
a great Warzone tactic, though, burning them out. I respect it. It's like those people that pinned me down that house last night, just throwing flashbangs and stickies at me just to get me out, and they
There you
got me.
go.
You know,
I do want to say, with him again, I like the dialogue that he had with Harrison and with Dexter, and his whole like area. What it makes sense now why he was getting mad at that girl, how he couldn't like recreate her face, because we learn
Yeah.
Kurt's ideology is that he takes them off the street, he makes them feel safe, gives them everything they need, and then he gives them the option to leave. But I guess any girl that chooses to stay
Is
in
there
there
forever.
is there forever and gets to stay there and maybe be happy. Unless you show your tits, then that's not okay. Then you have to leave.
not like that. It's not what I'm
So-
here for.
Yeah. So interesting.
None of that. Hey, Kirkland, is Taylor frozen in a really great way for you?
Looks like so startled. It looks like Kurt just came around the corner.
Yeah, Kurt's on the tail. Yeah, so Taylor's definitely frozen. He's been frozen a couple times, but yeah, no. So yeah, we got that backstory of man, what a setup he had. He just had dozens of girls. I don't know if, like, I guess it's possible. It's definitely possible to do this. If Kurt Caldwell could do it, I don't know. But the fact that he has this whole underground thing, great isolation, tons of container space, just, oh yeah, all these women looking like like porcelain dolls and whatnot, and I like because they do the classic setup of he tells the story of why, and his like it doesn't really make much sense. Like, okay, so these women are gonna just live in this room forever, and you're gonna give them food, and that's why Dexter's like, no, it's just about you being in power. Like that's the excuse Kurt gives himself to why he does it, but he just wants to kill. And what I love though is Kurt was like, yeah, you think you do this because you're serving some sort of justice? That's not why you do it. Now Dexter shoved the cloth in his mouth right away because even though Harrison, which we'll talk about, knows so much, it's still like either he's like spoon feeding him or he doesn't want to reveal everything. The same way, like great moment of he's about to kill Wiggles or he's about to cut Wiggles' cheek, and she's like, "Don't fucking dare tell him about your ritual." Like she's like trying to if he's gonna be like a killer or something like that, like try and make it as less creepy as possible. And I like that the second Kurt was like, "Yeah, Dexter is pitching to Harrison like, yeah, I do this because of justice and everything like that." And he does talk about the dark patch, but it's still like, oh, it's really about justice, but not exactly. Near the end of the episode, it's starting to feel that way, but I like that Kurt called him out for that and Dexter called him out for that. I like the setup, and yeah, big shout out. I'll find it right now, but we completely missed. I'm not sure if any other people knew, but a fan told us last week, and he was listening to all our Dexter retrospectives. Oh, where is it? But he had told us that Molly was the one on the table, and we didn't catch that in the review, and that was confirmed. She was missing for a little while, and she looks like she was Kurt's last victim. But what did you think about it? Was Grindhouse OG. He was the one that told us, or he, she, whoever. Kirklin, what do you think about Kurt's little trophy room setup? Because it's a lot of trophies and a lot of space.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't focus too much on the logistics of it. I liked his little presentation room. It had all like nice LEDs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He put some time. I wonder how much time, like in a week, he spends down there just admiring his trophies.
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot, but yeah, they're creepy. They look like little like Barbie cases, and I guess that's what he's going for. I mean, shout out to who do you say it was? Grindhouse.
Grindhouse.
Call that out, because yeah, I completely missed that he actually had Molly there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty okay with her being dead. I was getting pretty annoyed with her fucking podcast, the Mary
I'm
fucking
still
kills.
with her podcast.
She drops way too many F-bombs. Not good for a general audience. But yeah, no, it was a good little shock too for like our main characters to realize that she was gone, and I thought it was clever that they didn't really showcase that she did get axed last week. Only the really observant like
Yep.
Grindhouse could catch on to that. But yeah, I'm okay with her being dead, and I thought it fit the story as well. Like it was good for the plot because it allowed Angela to kind of do some digging because that was her partner, and then when she goes to the motel and like everything's gone but the safe, that was a good little reveal moment too for the character. So yeah, I thought it worked and it fit, and I didn't really care for the character. So
yeah, we're not too sad about it. Taylor, anything on Kurt's room specifically or Molly meeting her end? Because I know we'll talk about the kill scene eventually with Dexter and everything, but just in that moment as far as the room, and Molly is going to be on the next episode of her podcast, but this time she's going to be the subject, unfortunately.
Well, I would love to kind of know exactly what or how she got it. Like, how did Kurt, snag her, I guess.
Chase her down,
yeah. That's what I'd like to know.
She got in a vehicle and just like a fucking gazelle, he like ran her down,
Yeah. But, she unfortunately met her fate. And, I mean, ever since that, Grimehouse, am I frozen?
Grindhouse. No, I was just laughing the idea of Kurt running through the streets after a vehicle. Like he's running at like Wonder Woman speed after Molly. And everyone's like, there goes Kurt for his morning jog.
Must have had a lot of venison last night.
Yeah. But you are definitely frozen too, Taylor, by the way. So
Yeah, he is.
Good. You know what? Every day of the week, Sundays are always the Shaw just drops. It's always on Sundays. It's weird.
I'm on Shaw.
Just resetting.
I'm nice clear
resetting.
1080.
But yeah, I just think with Molly, it's unfortunate, but it's I'm surprised she got herself caught in the situation, unless Kurt really did, run her into a corner. But
it's kind of funny too, because she had an angel like come save her the first time around, but she had to keep digging. she got
Well,
killed by the same person.
No, to be fair, remember the episode ended with Kurt outside the restaurant watching her, so she might have left Kurt alone in that situation.
Should have
but
got
Kurt
the fuck out of that town if she knew
Well,
anything was going
yeah.
on.
You can podcast from anywhere, as we've learned with COVID. You know,
I do.
So,
I do want to say though that her escaping the first time was definitely fluky. But yeah, with Grindhouse predicting that was definitely good because I was just thinking that in the back of my mind this whole episode. Okay, it's gonna come true. We haven't seen her now for how long?
Couple
it all makes
episodes,
sense. Yeah. So good call out.
yeah. Well, let's talk about the big reveal. This is something we've been waiting for pretty much the second we realized that Harrison was not a ghost. We knew, okay, Harrison's not a ghost, and thank God. I'm so happy we have this season, and that's where it's like, I may not be a fan of like him becoming a killer or something like that, but I prefer this much more if like the big reveal in episode 9 would be like, oh, and Harrison's not been here the whole time. Like, much prefer this. So as we knew from episode 2, once he started talking to Angela and Audrey, it's like, okay, Harrison's real. So at some point, because he's around his psycho killer dad, he's gonna have to find out his secret. And because they've told us this is the last season, right? So they've said, you know, last season it's gonna have to come. And finally, after lots of teasing it the past, especially 3 episodes with the gym and the therapist and the fight in the gas law, finally last week, you know, we talked about, he said, oh, I'm going to tell you everything, okay? We open up with, which I'm very happy because I had watched the previews and I told you guys I had seen that they were doing this whole Wiggles thing and Dexter back in Miami. They should have kept him more in the dark because Michael C. Hall did not look like it was 15 to 20 years later. It was, I get what they're
I bought
going
it.
for.
I just haven't
Did
seen
you?
the show in a long time.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
You had like the original Dexter haircut. I was like, okay, this might be pulled from the actual show. So.
Yeah, he did have a little bit. He had they put him back in like the kill suit and everything like that. So it was cool. I guarantee you for Michael C. Hall, that was probably very fun to shoot just to get back in the old digs and everything like that. But in the preview, they just show like the scenes by themselves. And I was really worried we were going to get what we got last week where it's like the whole episode's going to be like him chasing down the guy. I thought this episode was going to be about like a whole flashback to like, oh, this is how I did it. But I really loved how he is telling the story to Harrison of what he does, but we're getting these examples in this flashback. Also with Deb kind of like counter-narrating him and telling him what to tell him, what to leave out. And I liked that the amount of it was in. I liked the Wiggles concept guy as a character because Crown's always fucking creepy. But I really liked everything done here. So I was a big fan of the use of the flashback.
Yeah, I really liked it too. Like I said, I wasn't 100% sure if that was like directly pulled from the original show. So at least for me, it worked. And yeah, it was a fun way to narrate like kind of the dark passenger thing to Harrison. And I really liked how certain things were left out just specifically because he didn't want to share them, or maybe Deb was like just on his shoulder telling him what to say and what not to say. So I really like that stuff, and I thought the splicing of it mixed really well, because honestly when I started the episode I was like, did I click like regular Dexter? Like this isn't New Blood. I was confused there, and then all of a sudden it stopped, and then it goes to Dexter explaining to Harrison like the dark passenger thing. So I thought it was a great way to just start the episode too, because we're not fucking around. We're getting right into it from where we left off last week. It's okay. I'm going to tell you what's going on. So I really liked it, and I thought it was creatively done with just like splicing back and forth. So.
Taylor, what did you think about the Wiggles adventure here?
I think using a clown was a great way to showcase the creepy vibe.
Poor clowns.
But I quite enjoyed the episode. I thought it was definitely... It was just spooky. It felt very much like... This whole segment just felt like classic Dexter. And I loved that. It was a nice little twist. And with Deborah appearing in it, just like, don't you fucking dare. And just giving him shit for what to say, what not to say. I loved all of it.
I love to... Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say like the kill, like when he decides like not to tell Harrison, but it was a good build up of suspense because he didn't know what he was actually gonna do in that instance. And what like a lie to try and push, like, oh yeah, and I just talked to him and he's fine now. He doesn't harm anyone.
It was bold. It was like, yeah, I just scare guys and whatnot. It's like I'm happy they had Harrison put that together.
Yeah.
Like I still think they could have had it done a lot sooner. I thought in that moment was like, oh, you scare people, that works. We still got there. I think I do think there's maybe about 50 minutes of this episode you could have cut out and replaced with some other stuff that I would like, some more meaningful conversations instead of Harrison be like, oh, and you scare these guys and they're fine back in the world, and they're like, yeah, like just works out and stuff. And I don't know. It's I love that they had him on the slide. That was very fun. Like even effective too, because when he stabs him, that blood's gonna go right down and slide in the plastic. So great move by Dexter. I don't know why he had Dexter does this a lot. There's in one moment where he went to his high school reunion and he had like the mascot of his high school like head on to take out a guy. Even in this episode, he like put on the clown nose. I was like, why are you putting on the clown nose to take this guy out? Like, you don't need to like.
Oh, that little flick! I loved it. It was so good.
That was just for gifts. They made that purely for gifts in the future and stuff. Like that's a poster, that's a fan art. But yeah, I liked everything that's set up there. And I think the other thing I'll show, because she'll come up a lot in this episode, that I'm happy Deb had some like really good content and really good acting. This was some of her best stuff too, because they gave her lots of emotionality and like some of the stuff she was doing. Michael C. Hall, they were getting just much like episode 1, very up close and personal in this, and it was good to have her doing all that. So what was that sign there too?
Remember Dexter like grabbed Deborah's
Okay,
head
I
for like a
was
solid
fancy.
2 minutes.
What do you want me to do? Whose side are you on? Let's take our next ad break, and then we'll keep talking about this, because obviously we got lots to talk about with the Dark Passenger, and so we'll be right back. And we're back. So one thing I want to show out before we move on from the fireplace scene is second time Dexter's been compared to Batman, but then he goes, oh, I like Dark Defender better. And that is a shout out to, or a callback to season 2 when they find out about the Bay Harbor Butcher, and he starts thinking about like, could I be a superhero? And he has the Dark Defender. He has this whole dream where he saves his mom.
Wasn't
and
there
he's
a
like,
comic book about it?
yeah, they
Yeah.
make a call. Yeah, and that's how it
Yeah.
starts. But then he has a dream where he saves his mom, and he's like, "Oh, I'll be with you now." And then he just looks at the comic book. He's like, too much leather in Miami, so he drops it. But that was such a good, and that just shows like again, people obviously there's people that created the show, but it's just like those are just like fantastic callbacks. Like it doesn't take you out of the show, it doesn't ruin it, but it's just like oh nice. So that was a really cool moment. I love that they called that.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Taylor, did you have a thought to finish? Well, I jumped in. I wasn't sure if you were finished there. I was
On the clown?
what was the gig? Yeah, on the clown.
No, I didn't have much. I liked how I was fooled. I totally could have thought this was an old school scene. Like the music, the score kicked in. Like it was fantastic. I love how he slit the thing, the blow up house. Question though, did he ever kill anyone with Harrison being like a baby in the room or present nearby? Because Madison asked me, and I thought, well, actually, maybe Harrison has seen this before, but like it was a baby.
I think he could have been around, but he never saw it, if I recall. There's times where he's like had guys in the trunk and stuff like that, or there's like he got kidnapped by the Doomsday Killer who was going to kill him on top of a roof when the sun set. So that also did happen in the show, but I don't think he ever saw. So he might have saw him like give him the needle or something. Kirklin, look at the way Taylor's frozen right now.
Is it good?
Oh, yeah, it's
you're
good.
creepy. Yeah.
I gotta take a photo of that. But so no, I don't think he ever directly. Oh, I messed it. I don't think he ever directly saw him kill anybody. So
There you go.
So something else that in this episode made me think maybe we wasted some time throughout the season was actually like the Harrison Dexter like team up thing. Like I honestly I think we could have spent like pretty much the whole season doing something like that. Of maybe it starts off with Harrison thinking he's a vigilante, because I thought there was just so much gold to work with there. Like there was a lot of
Yes.
really good moments, whether it was Harrison thinking that he's all in and then he kind of has like a panic attack when Dexter's just full on chopping this guy up like fucking turkey dinner.
want him in a bag?
Yeah, like all that stuff was really, really fun and really good. And I don't know if we all feel this way, but I thought we could have just spent more time in the season doing that. So when we're getting it here in the penultimate episode, it's like, oh man, maybe we missed an opportunity here. Maybe we could have cut out the entire billionaire thing and just spent more
Yes.
time diving into, I don't know, like this dynamic. I thought it was really fun, and I don't know. My feeling right now is that we're gonna finish the show. We'll find out if there's season 2 or if this is it. But if this is it, and we watch the finale, I think I'll think of this as a missed opportunity, that we could have spent more time doing stuff like this. And not wasting time elsewhere with other side plots in the show. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
What if we get that season 2, which when we get to, I will come to my prediction. I think we're definitely getting it. If we get it, are you going to retrospectively change your thoughts? Like, oh, well, season 1
Like my
was
Dune
good.
review.
Like his
Yeah.
Dune review, yeah.
Well, yeah, Travis mentioned the non-spoiler. Like, I think a lot of my issues are bound to this being a single season show. So if that's not the case, then okay, I'll definitely double back because we'll just have a lot more time to dive into these sort of things. Like maybe Harrison will. I don't know. We'll probably talk about him later on in this review, but I just thinking of like where his head's at, because in this episode, multiple times I was like kind of getting sus on Harrison. Like, is he really all in on it, or is he just trying to get like as much information? Maybe it's gonna be too much. Maybe he's gonna write his dad out. Like, I was just like theory crafting all these things, and I think that's why I thought if this was drawn out through the whole season, like him kind of having this knowledge, it could have just played a lot better and like paced better, because now with 2 episodes left it's going to seem pretty rushed. But you know, if we lead into another season and it's almost like a season 2 thing, they're just living together with knowing each other's secrets, it's different when it's a father son as opposed to a woman that you supposedly love hate. But yeah, no, I do think my feeling would change a lot depending on a season 2. So I'm excited to see what happens next week.
So I got 3 things to tackle there that Kirklin shout. I thought we were wasting time. That's so last night I dropped the gif of Robert Downey when he's getting really upset and he's like rubbing his face a bunch.
Yeah, I want to know what that was.
When Harrison's like, oh, we need some evidence to prove he's bad. Or Dexter's like, we need some evidence to prove he's bad. And Harrison's like, yeah, we do. Even though we just had last episode where Dexter drove up on this guy and Kurt had him sniper dead to rights. Now, I get that is not like evidence for Angela, like me and Taylor are talking about, but it's evidence enough that Dexter could do his ritual. Even if Harrison thinks like, oh, he just kidnaps guys and scares them, which I'd love if that was the result. Like he has Kurt try like tied up and he's not going to kill you. She's like, you're not going to do it, right? Like Michael Sale's trying to be so huh? Right, Kurt? You're not going to kill anybody? Like he's just trying to convince his son like this is what he does, and he's like, oh fuck, and then he just kills him. But so I get like, because me and Taylor told me this before, like I get that they needed evidence for Angela, but if he could still do his ritual and scare him, which led to killing, the whole we need to find evidence, I don't think is needed. Now, before you go, it's fine because Kurt died this episode. I thought when they set this up, this was, oh man, Kurt's living the next week, and we don't got time for that. We don't got time to have a whole episode of just trying to find out evidence for Kurt. So it paid off, and it also gave us like the trophies and everything. So I'm happy it did go that route at first, but after all, at first it's like, what do you mean you need fucking evidence? You don't need evidence to tie this guy down. Like he literally was about to shoot your son, and even be like again, even when he's like, oh, I have proof he might be a serial killer, I can't prove it. The fact that he had his whole get up and the sniper is just like, Harrison shouldn't even be like, yeah, I think he's pretty guilty. I don't know. It was a strange thing to do, but I think it led to good stuff with like finding the bodies, the trophies, the idea. So Taylor, feel the GeekVerse podcast.
I think it kind of makes sense because he needs the evidence for Angela. He doesn't have anything. As Harrison said, we could go testify. It's not going to count for much. I do think that when it comes to the evidence that he does have, he has no evidence that Kurt actually has killed any women. It's just speculation. And all he's seen is that, okay, Kurt has pulled a gun out on Harrison, didn't kill him, and there is a murder attempt on Dexter's life. So at this point, you don't have that, like, he hasn't actually killed anyone. He hasn't been caught killing anyone. So he does need that. And if you're especially bringing Harrison along, you need to go through the motions, right? You need to go through every step, show him this is the code. We've snooped around, we've confirmed what's what. He's a killer. We found his trophy cases.
Yes.
Now we're gonna move to the next thing, which I'm surprised. Usually I guess in the speed of things, normally Dexter confirms the evidence and then comes back at a later date that he plans and sets up the kill room ahead of time, but this was all within one night. Like he scoped it out, then they had the gear, set it up and everything. So there's one more thing I want to point out too. Well, actually no, go ahead, we'll get to it after.
Oh, so no, what Kirklin was talking about when he was like, "Oh, about the wasting time." I agree with that, and again, it's tough because I feel like this is probably my third point where I feel like this episode has signs completely. I go, "Oh, we're for sure getting a season 2," and then there's signs go, "Oh, this is completely the end," and that's where I'm so torn right now. But I will always say I'm a broken record because I was saying this last week. I think they should have done this episode 8, and cut out the entirety of you could have still done the Kurt thing at some point, work that in, but cut out the whole Dexter chasing that guy with the log cabin and stuff, which we actually got. Like we called him out last week. He went back, cleaned it up, got the body and everything like that, so it made sense. Oh, he's already frozen, and like that was a good line. But I think if you take that out and you replace it with some Dexter Harrison stuff, I think I would have liked that a lot better because yeah, okay, sure, you got Dexter in action, but I feel like that to me is the prime episode where I can point to like, okay, here's where we could have had more time with this. But then 3, it's just like, yeah, like I was saying, like I don't know, because they get the kill room, they have Kurt, and like, there's some stuff in the middle talk about obviously Angela. But this is what I was going to ask you guys, because this is where I'm like so surprised. That wasn't any better. Oh my god, you got some gold going on right now. But so like. This is what I'd ask you because so the whole so far your audio's fine. Your audio's great, Taylor. It's just you're looking at images like this. I don't know if you need to do that unless that's your computer bugging out.
Trying to fix it.
Okay, it's not fixing it. So the whole episode, Dexter's telling about this and Harrison. Like I love the line when they're in the room and he's like, "How many people have you?" Well, okay. They're in the trophy room, and that's when he has a realization he's killed people, right? And I was so happy because when they start talking about Arthur Mitchell, and he's like, "Oh, I just want to kill him," and Dexter's just like, "Me too." Like, "Oh no, I really hope so." That moment of him telling him that he killed the man that killed his mom, it's like, oh, that's where Michael C. Hall was great. Like that was just so emotional. Just like I killed that guy and I killed Arthur Mitchell too, and it was just like finally, like the whole episode, it felt like they were bonding. But this felt like for sure, like now they're father and son. It was great. I wanted him, even though he kind of lied. He's like, oh, like I killed him for killing your mom. You remember, he didn't know that Arthur Mitchell killed his mom. He gave Arthur Mitchell like a really nice send off. He played him music. He set his train set up for him, and it was like a really respectful. That was the kind of torment of that. But either way. You get that, and there's this line of how many people do you think you've killed? And he's like, it's in the hundreds, and I fucking just cackled because he just says that so calmly. But this is like the great dynamic of the show where Harrison goes, oh, so you've saved thousands of lives.
Yeah.
And that's where you bring it back to me, who still believes Dexter. I'm very much more in Deb's camp because like the fact that like Harrison like accepts him for killing him, and Dexter like for the first time ever has this emotion where he kisses his son on the forehead. Like you're seeing Dexter love someone, but he's loving him for obviously the wrong reasons. But he says, okay, you've saved thousands of lives. Now what Taylor and Kirklin were talking about earlier, he kills Kurt, we see the blood, it's dripping. This is where I'm unsure of what's going on with Harrison, and I think the writers are doing this on purpose because they've done this the whole season. I wasn't sure, is this just a panic attack of wow, it's all happening right now, you know, I'll get used to this. But still, like, if you look at Dexter, the show, his origin, he did not have panic attacks. When he did this, he felt like it was right. What I thought they were calling back to is, I'm not sure if you guys remember this, in season 2, they reveal that Harry killed himself because he gave him the code. He had all this idea, and then Dexter calls him to go see one of these crimes, like one of the kill rooms, and he's killed this guy, and he's like, oh, this is the guy that got away with it years ago. I got him for you, Dad. And Harry throws up and he's like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. And then the next week he kills himself because once he actually saw what Dexter had done, he realized it was a mistake or he couldn't live with it because like, oh, maybe I did play this wrong. And that's where I thought they were maybe going with Harrison of, yeah, he has some darkness, but maybe it's just like Deborah saying, maybe it's just actually just trauma and he could use some medication, some help, some therapy to get rid of this. And I'm not sure where you guys feel, but that's where I felt like they're calling back to. And we'll know next week because we don't know, is he going to be gung-ho or is it, because if there's a spinoff, then of course he's gung-ho. But if it's the finale, I could see this kind of Dexter finally feeling he does actually have someone 100% and him being like, oh yeah, like I thought that's what it was, and I'm fine with you doing it, but it was messed up. So, Kirk, where were you? Because you mentioned that first. Like, where were you on Harrison, like, freaking out? Like, how do you take that going forward? Because I feel like they've left it very open-ended.
Yeah, and that's why I was mentioning I wanted, like, a whole season, maybe, of this dynamic, because there's just so much good stuff there. So many layers to that relationship, so many layers to the characters and stuff. because on surface level, it seems like he's totally down. Like you know,
Yes.
like he's finally connecting with his dad. Like all that stuff's really great, and then you get these little glimpses of maybe it's just too much for him. Maybe he's not actually the monster that Dexter is. And that's so good. Like all those moments were so good. You mentioned like how Harrison is the one that finally asked like if he is the one that killed them. All of like their back and forth on that sense was so good for me. I think it's also just reminds me of like the early days of Dexter. So all that stuff is really good. And yeah, no, I hope it's gonna go a route that makes it not just easy, like not just okay, Harrison is fully gun ho on it, like
Yeah.
this is just him, he's Dexter number 2 now. Like I hope there's more to that, because there's just a lot of potential with that dynamic of having the father who loves his son, who like sent him away to kind of protect him, and then now the son is just all like he's kind of fucked up and all he really wants is his dad, and they couldn't really ever like jive together, because throughout the season, like there's many times when Harrison's just so angry at his dad just because he's just a terrible dad. Like fuck, even in the Christmas scene in this one, like the first gift he opens, I think is just like a black shirt, and in my mind I'm like, oh, is that just like a murder shirt? It's like, okay, this is our uniform, this is how we're gonna go kill people. Yeah, Dexter's just he's not a great dad. But
No, even this week, like he just saved him from Kurt, and he's like, I get that he had to do the body, but he's like, all right, I'm out. I gotta go. I gotta leave for a little bit, Like, and I get he had to get rid of that body, but it was just funny. Of like, man, like maybe bring him with you. I don't like because like just stay in the like I don't know. Like, what if Kurt showed up there? What if he was? What if that whole fire scenario happened while Dexter was gone? Harrison would have been dead. So like again, he should have not like even then go stay at Angeles like something. But the fact is like you stay here.
That escalation of what leaving Kurt behind or leaving Harrison behind, and everything like that. I want to kind of touch upon that when they were at Angeles for the Christmas party and stuff. When Kurt had showed up and they were still there, I think both Kurt and Dexter had the same mindset where Kurt thought, hey, Dexter and Harrison are probably going to bail and leave town, and then Dexter's thinking the whole time Kurt's going to bail, but they both stood their ground thinking one thing or the other.
Yeah. So like, where do you think is going to happen next week, Kirklin? Like, what do you what is going to be the result? Because like, I'm of two minds where I go, if there's a season 2 or a spinoff called Harrison, which fuck, but like if there, which is fine because I actually like Harrison, and I'll be there watching it. But I just like thinking about that world where Monday morning after the finale they announce Harrison coming to Showtime this fall. But like, to me, if there is a continuation of any sense, he will have some sort of dark past or something like that. But if this is the final episode, I feel like they are going to do the turning of the corner, and they are going to go with, what? He is not what Dexter is. Because there's even that moment where when Dexter stabs Kurt, and he has like that classic Dexter, he's like taking it in, and he like feels like it's like orgasmic for him, right? Harrison like looks at him like, this guy's fucked up. Like, and it's not like to me, it wasn't an understanding of like, oh, that's how I want to feel. Now, when they were burning Kurt's body, he's talking about like, oh, like, how does it feel? It's quiet now. And then Dexter's like, yeah, well, that's what happens when you kill. Like, but to me, I took it like Harrison could be saying it's quiet because he had that question in the back of his mind, and it was answered for him. Like, no, I wouldn't want to be doing this. But for Dexter, it's like, well, it's quiet because every time you kill someone, it like, you release that mana and then it builds up again. So what happens next week, Kirkland? What is like the final clarification on Harrison? Is he going to be dark pasture? Is he going to be using that black shirt to go around taking out bad guys, or is it not for him? And he just has, like I said, he just has like PTSD. He just needs like legit help.
Yeah, that's definitely like the Deb sentiment that she's pushing. Just send him to jail,
Yeah.
send him to therapy. But no, I'm not very confident one way or the other, like predicting where it's gonna go. Because Angela is just like a cloud over Dexter's day.
Yeah.
Like I feel like something's gonna happen with her. If she lives, I don't think Dexter's going to get away scot-free, but that's also something that we could expand into another season. Like maybe she finally accuses him, and then they battle it out. Nobody actually perishes, but it just sends Dexter and Harrison on their way, and then that would lead into season 2, because I think season 2 would be the two of them together, Dexter, Harrison. Nothing against the the actor for Harrison, but I just think the show is so centered around Michael C. Hall. Like you just gotta
Yeah.
have a solid lead like that to actually draw interest to the show. And
It
like
would
maybe a
always feel
Harrison
lesser
spin.
than, in
Yeah,
my
and like
opinion. Yeah.
I could see it. Okay, maybe we get the Harrison spinoff, but I don't think it would last long. I think people would show initial interest, and then as it keeps going on, it's like, oh, this isn't Michael C. Hall, this isn't Dexter.
Yes.
So unfortunately, I think that would be the case there. But if we're not getting a season 2, I definitely think it would be a kill off of the character of Dexter, or yeah, probably a kill off. I think it would be kind of like a Breaking Bad ending there, like just with his story, just because I don't know, like you always speak on justice for Dokes and actually get like Dexter like sentenced and all these things. I think it fits the character well enough, but I think just for the legacy of what the show is, I think it would be a bit of a disservice to like Michael C. Hall as the character of just like, oh, this is how his story ends, just behind bars. I might be alone in that thought, but I don't know. I think if we want like a sweet send off for the show and the character, you gotta kill him off in kind of a
See, I'm the
good way.
opposite because like the first rule of code is don't get caught, right? And how fitting would it be like, you got caught, you know? And that's where it's just like you're just
exactly
stuck.
failed.
What? Well, yeah, yeah, you know, that's kind of the point of these like shitty characters, right? Like Walter White, like they end up not in good places. But I think if next week the finale, we just simply do not have the time to like that's where, because the first, if we'll talk about Angela, but if she's like figuring out or finally confirming that this is the guy, that's gonna be at least half the episode. So I feel like it's gonna end in some sprawl. My worry is like, because I was really worried. Thank God they didn't go this route. I thought when Harrison was freaking out, he was like gonna maybe attack Dex or something. I was like, please don't do this. I was like, don't, like, you're
Freeze,
Kurt was
Kurt.
right. Yeah, Kurt was right.
yeah, you are a fucker. But like, you didn't cook me venison. But my worry is, and it's maybe a good worry because I think it would be a great like sad ending to bite Dexter in the ass. Would be like, so Angela gets this note, right? And I'll go to Taylor for your thoughts in a second there, but just Angela gets this note. Jim Lindsay, she already has suspicions, right? To me, this note was just like the final confirmation of, okay, it all makes sense of why he was with Kurt, stuff like that. If he starts to get arrested or she goes after him, my worry is I wonder if Harrison would take out Angela or something like that just to protect his dad. And then I think we get in a scenario where, man, again, did I fuck up? Because like Angela, like, she's after Dexter, but she does not deserve to die at all. And it's different with LaGuardia, who same thing was a cop after Dexter, did not deserve to die. No personal relationship there. Dexter, even if it's fake, has dropped that he loves her multiple times. He says that all the time. He's clearly, I think, likes her daughter, is a fan of her daughter. So I just wonder what role Harrison has to play, and that's why I wonder if he would take out Angela or Audrey just to like protect his dad, and that would be really fucked up. Like that's where it could just all go down, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting what they do. But again, I don't think they have all the time next week to have, oh, yeah, you were the Bay Harbor Butcher. Oh, yeah, Dokes didn't do it, like that sort of stuff, you know? Even though I would fucking love for Batista to show up next week. Just like that scene, if we were to have, you know, he's getting questioned at the police station, blah, 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 and Batista were to walk in, to see Michael C. Hall act that scene, fuck, that would be so good. But again, I just don't think we have time for that if there's only one episode left. So, Taylor, where are you on the Harrison of it all?
Like Harrison in this episode or my predictions?
Well, I guess two, because like I said, they kind of show, like what me and Kirklin were saying, they've showed like two sides where it seemed like he was really gung ho, and then a side where I don't know if this is for me, and like very back and forth. So like by next week, do you think there'll be a definitive of like what side is he on? And yeah, just kind of like what do you think? What do you think's his fate next week?
Well, everyone that's known Dexter and knows exactly, you know, his either seen or witnessed or whatever with his killing, they have specific kind of characteristics they take on, or they've gone down a certain route. And I think we're not going to see anything new with Harrison. I think he's going to go down the route we've seen before with another character. Whatever that route is, I don't know. I could see him making a mistake. I could see him maybe killing someone that he thinks is going to help keep his dad safe or whatever. But I don't think that'll happen because you guys are right. He definitely had a sense of instability or uncomfortable, you know, vibes after what he had seen. And it does kind of seem weird because then when you get that quiet, it's like, well, how does that stack with him being kind of uncomfortable? But like, I guess we'll see that in the next episode. Now, I've stacked the hill of snow, and I'm going to die on this mountain of snow that I think we're getting season 2. Angela's not.
You were walking that back a couple weeks ago when Angela first found out, though.
I know, because I was skeptical, but now Angela's she's gonna live. Her daughter's gonna live. I think we're definitely gonna get set up where, like, how they handle Angela and Dexter, I don't know, but I feel like, okay, for sure we're going to get them coming back for next season. Dexter's making out of this alive, and I say this because I'm not feeling the escalation. Previous seasons had the escalation leading to that and be all end all finale episode where, okay, like tables have turned, like this shit's real. But right now it's just like it doesn't feel like it. It feels very.
Though she got a note being like she was gonna get like she
did, but the note has no evidence, right? Because they're gonna look into like
Yeah, it
well,
does.
it
The
does have
rods.
that. It does have the rods, but that doesn't prove Dexter did it. It doesn't
Has some
prove anything.
ash.
yeah, it has.
Some ash in
It's just a jar of ash on her.
There's
doorstep.
there's
Like, what the
nothing tying Dexter to it because they can't check the body for the needle point like the Bear Butcher has. There's nothing they can connect the dots with.
No,
and
but-
when they do look into Kurt again, they're gonna have to. Unless the episode is like 2 hours long, the length of the episode would add to it because this episode's got to be an hour, and there's just not enough time to cover everything. And if they do, it's dangerous and risky. But this whole finale, like. They're gonna look into Kurt disappearing. Like, okay, Kurt, maybe there's more to this because we found his trophy room. He bailed out of town, all the women and stuff, and they're gonna. I think Angela's gonna be so distracted with seeing like Molly and seeing all these characters that have been killed here, and so stressed out about that they're not gonna be able to address Dexter yet. I think that's gonna be saved in season 2. Maybe you do have like Batista come in as a cliffhanger for this season, and then season 2 unveils and just blows everyone out of the water with what they do, and you bring the billionaire back in or whatever. But I do think that
billionaire, this fucking loose plot thread.
I do think we'll get that season 2, and I think that they were just waiting. They put the season out. They wanted to see how it was doing, and it did great numbers wise. So I think along the way here, they're like, okay, let's maybe like even sneak in a post credits scene because now we got the green light for season 2. Let's just do a reveal or whatnot. So
See, and that's just where I'm on the other side because, like, yeah, they saw the numbers, but the whole talk about this was like we finally want to give Dexter a good ending, and to me, like. I'm completely fine if we have a season 2, but that's not an ending. That's just like now we're in a new show. Like how many more seasons are we gonna do? Are we gonna do another 3 or 4 and stuff? Like to me, this was always pitched as we're doing one more to send the character off. Now I always think they've done that in a good way, but still, Aaron says it's really looking like Dexter's gonna get caught this time. I really hope there's a season 2 like we were talking about. There's a possibility they find the other titanium screw burned ash at Dexter cabin, but I'm still struggling to see how that actually proves anything is prosecutable. I don't know. I feel like that's definitely Matt is missing, and because here's the thing, I guess I'm on the other side where Taylor says like it doesn't prove anything. I think it proves almost everything because like she has to put a lot together. But once you start stringing it all together, first of all, once she gets the peel of Iron Lake, just like, hey, Jim Lindsay faked his fucking death. Already, this guy's going to be super shady. She's going to talk about all the Bay Harbor, Miami stuff. Like, yeah, that is kind of weird. The needle stuff, that is kind of weird. Who rented out the needle stuff or bought it? Jim Lindsay did. Who's like, and she was talking about this last week with the podcast or 2 weeks ago. It was like, oh, it was really weird. Like he was having lunch with Kurt. Like she already has these signs. Like he was recording conversations. Like. There's all the stuff around Dexter and Kurt that didn't make sense. That makes sense now because she would go, oh, that's why, because there's some sort of game they're playing and stuff like that. And the rods would, because if she has the rods and they somehow prove or whatnot that Matt's dead, he is missing, she would keep, like, she didn't say anything this time. She kept it buried, right? But she literally has security footage of someone posing as Matt Caldwell, and it's not him. So it's like the second you put together he is missing and not actually alive, no payments, no credit cards, nothing like that, and she has some screws, and they find the other screws in Dexter's house, 100% I think that gets him dead to rights. And that's where I will, maybe it's bull, but I will say hashtag Jazz told you, I think that next week he will be caught or dead. I think if there's any spin-off, it will unfortunately just be Harrison with Dexter as like a ghost or something. But I think they are going to give Dexter an ending. I do think that could be rushed, but I just think that they have that note. That to me was the escalation of her getting that note of like she officially is whatever. She'll prove it, but she knows that Dexter is a killer. In my opinion, that's what that was. Like, okay, it's dead. There's no more. Oh, I wonder if he is. I wonder if it's not. It's like, okay, this is it. All my suspicions are gone. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's still tough for me to, fully say he's guilty off just having like a single screw. I've seen too many court shows. You know that it's not solid evidence. It's not like a photo of Dexter throwing, you know, Matt's body in the incinerator or anything like that. So I think a lot could happen from that. It's not a clean guilty verdict in my eyes just for having the screw. But it could just be a motivator for Angela to just pick up the search and like be a lot more aggressive with Dexter. I mean, we saw it in this episode of when the two, Dexter and Harrison, come back from their kill to their house, just seeing it burnt and the fire department and everything. Like the look on Angela's face there, like she's so sus on Dexter now.
Yeah.
And you know, you mentioned like him saying "I love you" to her. She didn't say that in response to this
she
anymore.
Didn't kiss
so
him on the lips. It's
No.
always him kissing her.
it's fun because it's like, okay, when is this clash actually gonna happen? When is Angela actually gonna just confront him? I have a feeling it's next week because it's the finale of the show. But I don't know. Just another thing with Angela that I thought while watching this is I feel like she's just really taken like or being thrown on like the back burner in these last few episodes of the show. I get it. She's doing some searching behind the scenes, but I just thought initially when the show started off in the first few episodes, she seemed like a really key player. Like she was really in the spotlight a lot more than she is. And you know, I get it, she's doing her own research and anything, and it allows us to spend more time with Dexter and Harrison, but I think it was kind of a mishap to highlight her so much in the beginning and then just have her in the back seat. I think we could have just had her be a lot more of a side character, and then maybe a side character that we don't really put too much stock in, and then it's revealed later that she's actually doing stuff behind the scenes and actually being a player for, you know, the justice system and all these things. So I don't know, that was just another thing that I thought if we wanted to trim some fat on the runtime to just allow some more substance, whether it was with Dexter and Harrison or just Dexter in general, I think that was a spot where we could have switched focuses a little bit. But you know, I'm kind of splitting hairs here. We'll see what happens in the next in the next episode, which is the finale, how it goes and what they do with Angela, because I don't know. I as of right now, I think I'm liking her a lot less than I was in the early parts of the show. I hope they do a good thing with her character. I hope she doesn't just get murked like La Guerta. It could happen, so we'll see what happens next episode.
Well, let's take our final ad break because I got a big question to Kirklin because he tried to skirt it. He didn't answer it, but we're going to ask him after this ad break. And we're back. So Taylor's on the side. Dexter's getting away, surviving season 2. I'm on the side. He's dead.
Uh-oh.
He's arrested. You know, yeah, you gotta be Switzerland.
I know this is coming.
So what is and I still got some other stuff to talk about this episode, but what is the fate of Dexter Morgan by time when the clock hits, let's say it's an hour, you know, Saturday night, 10 p.m., is Dexter Morgan living and breathing? Is he a free man? Where is he next week? Because Harrison, even if he's like his dad's guilty, they're not going to send Harrison to prison or something like that, right? So I feel like
They
Harrison
could. Deb was pushing that.
yeah, go
Give him the
Deb.
chair.
Yeah. But where are you on Dexter Morgan for next week?
I feel like if I was a betting man, I'd say that he meets his fate next week. He is either dead or goes to prison. You know, just in my eyes, I think it'd be better if they killed him off. Has like a nice touching moment with Harrison or something like that. It's funny because I picture like a heroic end to him, but he's still such a bad guy. Like, does he just die and then he sends Harrison to go carry on his deed and just murder more people, but
Is Angela the
save
one that
thousands
kills
of
him?
lives? Like, Angela's the one that killed him.
There's a shot.
That probably makes the most sense. It would be a good emotional end for her character too, because I think she still loves the idea of what Jim Lindsay was for her, and like that love that they shared. Even though he's a sociopath, it probably was real to an extent, almost like the Rita dynamic with Dexter and Rita there. But so yeah, I think if I was a betting man, I would say he meets his end. But I'm just gonna push it out there. I'm gonna hopefully just will this into existence. I'm gonna say he survives, and we get a season 2. We get a Harrison Dexter.
Yeah, here with me.
Team up. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I can't wait next week. to
Bad
talk
Dad
to
and
you
Robin.
It's gonna happen. Emily's theory was that Angela would find out, and like she would like the whole thing, you're a killer, blah blah, blah, and like let him go, but he had to like leave the town. Like I don't
What
want
if
him here.
something happens with the daughter and Angela legit doesn't throw Dexter in because she needs his help again?
The
What if there's a
billionaire
murder or
finally-
something? Yeah. What
finally
if there
comes
is
Could you
something?
imagine the next episode starts with the billionaire like capturing?
He's
Oh,
wearing
Audrey
Kurt's
Audrey.
clothes.
Yeah,
Kurt was my brother. No,
he's wearing like
fucking-
a woodland set. It's like,
Well, and talking about drop storylines, like I think so. I guess I never said this because we talked about this a few weeks ago when Dexter referred to him as the boyfriend, and we were like, I don't think that's true anymore. But the fact that they just still had Christmas plans, he's inviting himself over. I was like, all right. And what I really disliked is, remember a couple episodes ago when Audrey was like, hey, like you broke that guy's arm. That was kind of, man, like I'm not really into that. And then he's like, okay, whatever. And then like he walked away, they broke apart. And then the episode after that, he saw her with another dude, like just like they're doing like shopping
I know.
together. And this episode, it was like she was just the same way we talked about before when she stood up and like clapped in front of everybody. She was just completely in love with Harrison. So I wish that a few episodes ago, she just would have been like, yeah, that guy's a fucking asshole. I get what you did. Like, why did we do anything of, again, if there's no season 2, you could explore that of her questioning him, but if there's just a final one season, they should have never had any tension there because this episode was completely gone. She kissed him in front of the parents. She just like, I love that gift. Pretty much just saying like, I love you. Like it was again, there like this show has been great, but there's definitely been some like threads like that whether it's Kurt finding out Angela with their Google searches and this thing of just Audrey just completely back in love with Harrison. Didn't really make much sense. It was like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing because to me it just feels like we don't have time, you know. So.
yeah, I'm not loving the character of Audrey anymore. I thought there was some potential with her in the beginning. She showed some actual like strength of a character, which she was super sus on Harrison when nobody else was. When he just, hey man, you fucked that guy up, and that wasn't really cool.
Yeah.
And then yeah, she's just like the town floozy going back to Zach or whatever the hell like the bully's name was, and it's just really inconsistent. And the last few episodes, I thought she already took such a back seat in the show. She just wasn't really around, and it's another one of those examples of me thinking that we wasted time here with these characters because okay, now I'm realizing we didn't really want to go anything with the character. We wanted to use her to flesh out Harrison a little bit and then broom her fast, get her out of there, as Norman would say. So
do what you need to do and broom her fast.
So yeah, that's an area I think we could have trimmed some fat again and just threw in some better substance there, but maybe it'll all change in the finale. I'm maybe getting ahead of myself.
What if they bring Ethan back for the finale and gets his revenge on Harrison?
Fuck, that'd be hype. Ethan
wearing
shows up in his Kurt
outfit, exactly.
Kurt was my grandfather, or what was it, Godfather, and
He's like, he's got his paintings. Oh my god.
Yeah, his clothes are just like the paintings, like attached to his body, and he just has a gun that shoots out straight razors at Harrison.
We should justice for Ethan. Harrison did come clean about that. We should say that.
Thank God. So yeah, Ethan's life completely ruined because Harrison just had like one to feel if this was right.
It was already pretty fucked up. Okay, if he was doing the first things.
Yeah, but you're right. But he definitely didn't make that choice. Harrison made the choice for him. Now his parents are on the run and stuff like that. But again, he felt bad about it. And yeah, good of like Dexter felt like he was being such like a bro dude when he's like, how'd you know? He's like, blood splatter. Like he said that, he's like, and then he's like, oh, in my old life. But when the way he said blood splatter is just like,
he sounded cocky. Yeah, he sounded cocky throughout this episode.
It was like, fuck, man, you're just a blood splatter. Like he just sounded like he was fucking God or something. Blood splatter. Like, I mean, okay, you're not Batman.
I can give it like to the writers to a certain extent there because it's just he's waited like his whole life to
100%.
like actually have a bond like this with someone, and like you could just see how giddy he was to actually have his son there. And like you mentioned, like the forehead kiss, like yeah, it was kind of, oh wow, okay, this is what it takes for him to be a father. But it makes sense that is what it takes for him to have like a good connection with his son, because he's so fucked up. We've seen throughout the season that he's not a good dad. He, like, all the small talk that they have is terrible. So I'll give it to them, in that regard.
Yeah, and like I said before, I just wanted to shout out Jennifer Carpenter again. I love that moment when they're around the trophies and she's just like grabbing Dexter by the neck and like sobbing, like, please don't tell him and stuff. So I liked that. Again, she's been back and forth, but that kind of makes sense because that tracks because it's in Dexter's mind and he doesn't know how to feel about the situation. But really good stuff there from her.
A really, really good, touchy moment that was emotional, but also made me laugh so hard because I didn't know where we were going with this. And of course, my mind just goes memes initially. Is when Dexter gives Harrison his Christmas present.
Yes.
You want to show my drawing?
Yeah, I have
I didn't
tons of
know.
them.
I didn't know what we were gonna get from that image. I was just giggling in anticipation, but it actually ended up being a really nice, touching scene when he has the photo of Deb, and you just see Michael
Yeah.
C. Hall like sell that scene of like that emotion that he's like. It's like he got caught off guard like by that, and it's like it made him vulnerable, but also in a good way, like an emotional way, which is something that Dexter's definitely not used to because he's just a complete psychopath. And I thought that was a really good scene.
Well, yeah, and he's been seeing her in his head for years. So the fact that he
Yeah.
actually sees a picture of her was great. Yeah, I honestly didn't put two and two together till he mentioned the drawings. Like, fuck yeah, he had his own drawing. What else does he have in that book? But like, and no, the other thing that oh shit, I think I lost it. But one thing I'll bring up is I feel like that first half of the episode, Michael C. Hall really loved cold acting. Like, there's so he's like, oh fuck, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even in his cabin, he's like, oh fuck. He was like, I'm gonna act the shit out of being cold, guys. Watch this. Like he like put on a jacket, dude. Like every time, yeah, I got you a gift. Oh, like that was his go-to like back. I'm like, oh man, I'm
That's true.
freezing.
Yeah.
It was great to see, but yeah, he gives him the gun to fit in, you know, which is like, at first I was like, fuck, I know you want him to fit in, not the right gift, Dexter. Like, I don't know if this is the right idea. He gives him, and then presents just kept materializing out of Dexter. He's like, I got two. There's one more behind the tree. Oh, look, I got one more over here to fit in. And it was fun, the Christmas sweater. We didn't really talk about that Christmas scene. Like, it was fun. I love those dynamics of some people knowing some things, some people don't. You know, it's all awkward. Apparently in Iron Lake, there's just fucking clothes. Like that's all they got each other was clothes. And man, what a shit gift Dexter got Angela. Oh, my dad had a lot of these books and you didn't have any, so I thought you'd need one. It was just like, man, like luckily she's already not into you, but that's like a deal breaker right there. Like, and it's almost like like not that it's insinuating she's bad at the job, but just like. She seemed pretty good, you know. She's smart. She's like, oh, like it's almost something you'd give to like someone in their first year or second year. But the fact that she's like the sheriff and he's like, here, have this book. Like this will really help you in your days. So I liked all that Christmas stuff going on. The sweaters. He got another sweater, Dexter. So apparently it's a collection we have not seen, but I want to. So
Yeah, I agree. I thought the Christmas stuff was fun. I thought the fitting in aspect it worked. And were you talking about like the gun being like a sketchy gift?
Yeah,
I would
was
I would
worried.
push back.
Everyone
I would push
had
back
them.
a little bit. Everybody had one. Yeah, he even dropped sign like all the kids at school have one.
but Harrison with a gun is different. That's
It's
the
about
thing.
blending in.
I know, but I was just like, oh, like
Better
at
a
first-
gun than a straight razor was like pulling out and
I got your own set
parking
here,
lot.
you know. I actually did think the episode, which I think they're still setting up, Harrison's going to use that gun for something, and I don't know if that could be Angela's demise or something. But I originally thought they're going to have. I thought two things. One, I thought he was going to shoot Kurt at one point in this episode. That didn't happen because like you're a good shot. And two, I did think that Dexter was going to give him the knife in that kill scene, and he was going to do his first kill with Kurt, but he didn't. He was just freaking out. But I do like that Kurt showed up for Christmas and he gave him like the finger gun to say hi, and the callback to Harrison giving him the finger gun right before Dexter put the needle in him. That was very well done, writers. I liked it. And Kurt, he was almost out too. He had all his money, he had all his gear and everything. He was really close to escaping, and didn't happen. You know, is there anything else to shout out? If you got something to shout out now, because I'm still trying to think of the thing I forgot. I'm pretty pissed about it. But anything else?
No, I think we've touched everything I really wanted to talk about. I don't know, Taylor.
I don't think I got anything. It was a great episode. I'm really happy with it.
I'm glad it wasn't the finale.
Yeah.
Because that was. It's so funny, like retroactively thinking that could be the ending too. Of like, it's just like Angela like sus on like Dexter.
No season 2.
Yeah.
It's just like got the note like Dexter killed Matt Caldwell. It's just okay. It was a good play by Kurt, like one final move to like just really fuck with Dexter to like
Did
send the
Kurt
letter.
mail that, or did he have another henchman mail it?
Either way, Very
Yeah.
smart. Like I everything from burning the place down to putting the note. He really had his like contingencies and stuff like that. So I like that happened.
For someone that just he feels like he goes off anger impulses, that was a pretty good methodical play.
Oh yeah, no, I guess I can't think of anything. They show up at the end, it's burnt down like we talked about, and just us. The auditor throws out they're staying with us, and sucks for Angela. She's not too thrilled about that. Not just no son at all, and yeah, no, maybe I'll think of it next week. It was something around the because Kirklin brought the drawing, and that made me laugh, and then I got away from whatever my thought. It was around the time from Dexter telling the story to before they go to the dinner. I was like, I thought I had something to point out. It wasn't the Michael
Was it
C. Hall
Kurt
callback
cleaning the gun scene?
No, but any Kurt content's always good in my books, Well, either way, if these gentlemen have nothing to say and I got nothing to remember, we will be back. Next week is who knows? The preview just says the finale. It doesn't say series finale, it says the finale. We don't know. We'll talk about it. I think no matter what, if it's the last episode ever, if it's a set episode of season 2 set for a spinoff, it's gonna be a juicy episode. I think lots of stuff is gonna go down. I think that yeah, I think it's going to be a very good review. So tune in next week, whether it's live or the podcast feed. I think it's we'll have lots to talk about. And until next time, it'll not be boring.
Bye-bye.
Peace.